My name's John Wright. I'm just sitting here thinking about running for the governor of Washington State. Because that'd probably be the best thing to do. Because if I was the governor of Washington State, down there in Lewis County, they would have some goddamn surprises that they'd fucking just goddamn be fucking just not very thrilled about. The community would be overwhelmingly happy. But everybody that I goddamn know in that courthouse that I fucking remember, and I got a very good memory, by the way. They'd remember what they goddamn did down there in that town, in that area. Like the bowling alley at 1501 South Gold, the Fairlanes Bowling Center that they now called Fairways Bowling Center. And they've painted it sheriff's green. They put a church in front of it at my partner's real estate agent's place. Bob Clifton Kling was supposed to be there, right there, doing our real estate. I was going to have bowlers come to the bowling alley. Hey, you guys want a piece of property and stuff? Bob's right there in the front of the bowling alley. It's going to be a win-win situation for me and Robert Clifton Kling, the $1 million man of Lewis County, Washington. It wasn't like I was setting myself up with somebody that didn't have, some kind of a clout. Matter of fact, Mr. Kling put up his property, his horse farm out there at Adna, Washington, to facilitate the deal between Atlantic Trust and ourselves for buying the second mortgage in that bowling center, which that brought the bowling center's price down to $885 that was owed to Pacific Coast Investments in Seattle, Washington. And what these guys did was we ended up purchasing that Atlantic Trust second mortgage for 10 cents on the dollar. So we acquired over $400,000 worth of equity in that bowling alley. And we're on a signed contract to purchase that bowling center. You see, that bowling center is supposed to be mine. And my attorney, James L. Rowland, which is involved with the Department of Labor and Industries. He's the judge at the Department of L&I that wrote the rules, as he says, and he told me that he walked his partner Jerry Moore up the trail, and this has everything with the Twin Star credit unions and Jerry Moore, the prominent attorney that was murdered in 1991. And my sister Bonnie, she got divorced in 1991, and my sister moves over to my house next door to me, and ultimately she ends up here on Delphi and Alpine. And what it is they've just moved my sister like a chess piece, possibly, or my sister's moving towards Zion looking for a safe spot, because she works up there at Cooper's Point following signs. My sister right here, she hates my mother, I found out. Oh, they come to me, you got to help mom, you got poor mom, poor mom, poor mom. But in reality, she hates her mother. She hates her mother, and she named her son Kevin Henry Baker. My mother hates Henry, her dad. Her dad would tell her no. You see, her dad would tell her no. And my mother hated anybody that would say, no, Marietta, that's not right. You're not going to do this. So Marietta hated her dad. And for whatever reasons, but I do know, my mother does hate her dad, because my mother said, you remind me of my dad, John. He is a goddamn gambler like you. You remind me of my dad. Because I would go out to the Lucky Eagle Casino and I would come home with the cash. I'd go out there with $40 and be able to play games and win money. Why? Well, I studied the games that I was going to play, and I've even been barred from the Indian Creek Casino out there that's near Gail Rebello's new house. That there was a woman I went out with that was actually the governor's secretary. And you know, the governor sent his secretary to meet me down there at the Lucky Eagle Casino. And that Gail Rebello, also at the end of our relationship, when I found out she was an attorney, I fired her. When I found out that she was withholding information from me, that not only she worked over at the governor's office over there, you know, like this, like she's just a person. She was the governor's secretary. She was the governor's personal attorney, I found out. At Gail's house on Miller Street. Miller. You know, World War III. And the woman said to me, Gail Rebello, she said at the end of the relationship, she says, she said something about the moon. She goes, we'll always be connected. She goes, you look at that moon. You look at that, John. Moon, we'll always be connected because we'll look at that moon and we'll both see it. Something like that. We'll be always connected. We'll always be connected. That governor's secretary came down there to do what? Have a relationship with me and to find out what I know or what I don't know. Apparently. Matter of fact, the Department of L&I put me through a series of different things to do. Matter of fact, I was in a locksmith training course, and you know, I've taken a creed to not use my skills to break into other people's safes. I've taken a creed not to break the law. I've taken a creed to withhold the law. You know, I've taken an oath, and sometimes people don't fucking take their oaths seriously, like Donald J. Trump. Perfect example of somebody that can't keep a goddamn promise. But when I was taken to a ship that was going to Alaska, you know, the Valdez goes to Alaska too, by the way. I was taken on a ship to open up a safe, and the owners of the safe was not goddamn there. There was no slip, there was no work order. I was taken there by Larry Baumstead, a safecracker that's been in trouble in Portland, Oregon, that was seen on Coin TV News, which he showed me the tape and stuff of who he is. He's very pleased with himself, and he himself is not one that's happy with the goddamn government, you know. But he took me to that ship, opened that safe, you know. At first they had me take all these tools and carry it out to the goddamn ship, and I'm injured anyway. I'm an injured worker, Department of L&I. And then open this safe, you know, open the safe. Yeah, bust into it. You know, we're going to break into this goddamn safe on this ship. That's what he's saying. I'm not going to open that goddamn safe. I'm not going to do it. I won't do it. You know, and by the way, I'm not strong enough. My back won't fucking do it. You know, he's asked me how to open that safe. I know how to open that safe the same way he goddamn taught me how to open that safe. Take that sledgehammer and slam it as hard as you can on that goddamn dial. Flex those bars and that fucking safe door's gonna come wide open. You gotta fucking nail it. You know, is what he's taught me. Now he wants me to nail that goddamn safe door. And it isn't gonna happen. I decline to do the work. He ends up telling me, you passed all this stuff, you know. And then he just drills it out. He opens the safe. He quietly takes the papers out, puts it in his shirt, and we walk out of the place. I reported this to the Department of L&I. This is just one incident where I was put in a situation that I don't really feel comfortable with. And I'll tell you what, their little stunt with that in Lewis County, my lawyer, James L. Rowland, that's up there on Cooper Point Road, up there in that area, right there. Harrison and Plymouth, like Plymouth Rock, the founding spot, you know, right there. He set up a thing that's custom building. It's the same shape as the bowling alley in Morton, Washington. He's threatening me about my family and stuff. He's threatening me for 110 times more than the law will allow. And I started looking at him. I'm looking across the room and I'm just goddamn fucking angered. I'm not happy at all. And he's causing me a lot of stress and a lot of grief. You guys will never know what a person feels like. And they put a hit on my life, and they murdered Rhonda Reynolds, the state patrol in Washington State. They also was involved with the Merwins, and my brother Jerry was involved in it. And it's been a three-ring circus. It's something. Now, you know, like the bowling alleys and stuff, and I say they'll mark things with the mark. They've been doing this forever, too, by the way. The bowling alley in Morton, Washington, Mitzi Fairhart has a son named Mark. Okay? The Fairways Bowling Center right there, they have Mark Justin right there, Justin Marks. Justin Marks is my sister Debbie, my Aunt Debbie, that's been passed off as my sister Marks, Debbie Marks. That's her stepson that they have right there at that place. And also, you know, they're threatening me with a family member being right there. Matter of fact, I remember going to these people's houses. You know, there's a few times I'd go over there on a holiday. I'd go over to my sister. She was known as my sister Debbie, but she's my aunt. My sister Bonnie right here, she's had that child taken away from her at childbirth from Port Angeles, Washington. And she's had to put up with this bullshit ever since. And for my sister Bonnie, you know, I have remembrance of her pulling a horse through the front door of my mother's house, into my mother's house that my dad's rebuilt and put brand new carpet and stuff in. Donna Medley's house, DM, Donna Medley. You know, so anyway, there's a story about my sister pulling a horse in the house, and I exposed it over here. And first thing she says, it never happened. The next thing she said, it did happen. And I told Ernie, you see, there's truth behind what I'm saying, Ernie. There's truth. And I found out the reason that she'd done that is for the hatred that she has because of the child. And also, she named her son Henry. You see, and that was the reason right there that she hated my mother so much. I just want everybody to know how my family members, they've been playing some strange game around me. I was held in a rabbit cage in Port Angeles, Washington. And they hid behind me, and then they put me on the run, and they put my face all over the United States of America. If it happened to you, you would be angered too. When I say I want $21 million for this incident, somebody's been profiting off of these royalties. I want $21 million for the gold mine in Elko, Nevada, and I think that there's very reasonable. I want $21 million for what they've done to me here in Washington State. I want $21 million for the bowling alley over there. By the time it's over, I'll have $100 million. By the way, a person don't need that much money to be happy. But they do not need to be suppressed because these guys can't live up to what they've done to a person like me and put me on the run so they could sit in their house and feel nice and comfy and cozy and all warm and fuzzy goddamn inside when you fucking threatened me and you've done this. Law enforcement community in Washington State and people in Lewis County, Washington that's been covering up the goddamn crimes of the century, John F. Kennedy murder, right there in Lewis County, right there in Port Angeles, Washington, right there in Dallas, Texas. And the truth will set you free. Let's do this.